The sun was already high when she said it, the kind of bright, unforgiving daylight that leaves no place to hide. Dust floated through the air like tiny witnesses, and the city hummed outside the cafe windows with ordinary life. She sat across from me with her hands folded tight, eyes steady but tired, and the weight of her words landed heavier than any storm. She believed no one wanted to date her, believed it so deeply that it had become a fact in her mind, something proven by time and silence. In that raw moment, she lifted her shirt just enough to show the truth she carried on her skin, and everything I thought I knew about courage changed. What I felt then was not shock or pity, but a quiet, immovable certainty that I was not going anywhere. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us what being human really means, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Bright Acts. Your support helps keep stories like this alive and reaching hearts that need them. Her name was Maribel Cruz, and she had the kind of presence that didn't demand attention but earned it slowly, like the warmth of the sun on a long walk. I had met her weeks earlier during a volunteer cleanup near the river, a bright daytime effort where neighbors gathered with gloves and trash bags, trying to make something better with their own hands. Maribel worked quietly, sleeves rolled up, dark hair tied back, her focus steady. She smiled when spoken to, but there was a guardedness there, a practiced distance that suggested she had learned not to expect too much. I was drawn to her calm, to the way she noticed small things like a trapped bird or a cracked bottle hidden in the weeds. We spoke about ordinary matters, about work schedules and favorite street food, about the way mornings felt different when you woke up believing the day might be kind. Over the following days, our paths crossed again and again under the open sky. We ran into each other at the farmer's market where sunlight poured over crates of oranges, at the bus stop where shadows shifted with every passing cloud, and finally at that small cafe near the park where children laughed and joggers passed by with earbuds in. Everything about our connection felt gentle and unforced, like two people walking the same direction without realizing it at first. Yet beneath Maribel's calm, I sensed something heavy, something she carried alone in the brightness of day while the world rushed past. That day in the cafe, the truth surfaced. She spoke without dramatics, her voice level but weighted, explaining how relationships always seemed to stop before they started. How interest faded when things got serious, how messages slowed, how invitations quietly disappeared. She had learned to brace herself for the moment when curiosity turned into discomfort. When she lifted her shirt, it was not an act of shock but of honesty. There were scars there, long and uneven, a roadmap of survival from surgeries that had saved her life years earlier. They told a story of hospital rooms filled with daylight, of doctors speaking softly, of fear faced head-on while the sun still rose every morning. Those scars had healed, but the way people reacted to them had left deeper marks. Maribel had grown up learning resilience early. As a teenager, she spent more time watching daylight through hospital windows than through classroom ones. While others worried about dances and exams, she worried about recovery timelines and whether she would ever feel normal again. She survived, but survival came with a price. The world loved inspirational stories from a distance, loved calling her brave without wanting to touch the reality of what bravery looked like up close. Dating became a minefield. Daytime coffee dates ended politely, followed by silence. People claimed they were not ready, not in the right headspace, not looking for anything serious. Over time, she stopped believing the excuses and started believing the flaw was her. Listening to her, I felt something shift. I had my own quiet failures, my own history of stepping back when things felt complicated. I had learned how easy it was to walk away in daylight, to let the sun hide the fact that you were choosing comfort over courage. But sitting across from Maribel, with the world continuing on outside as if nothing extraordinary was happening, I understood that staying was sometimes the bravest act. The certainty that filled me was not romantic fantasy or savior instinct. It was simple and grounding. I was here. I could remain. From that moment on, our connection deepened not in grand gestures, but in shared daylight routines. We took long walks through the park where shadows moved slowly and time seemed less urgent. We talked about dreams that had nothing to do with proving worth, about mornings when coffee tasted better than expected, about how healing was not a straight line. Maribel began to laugh more freely, the sound lighter, surprised by itself. She still carried doubt, still flinched at compliments, but there was a new softness there, like a window opening to let light in. Challenges did not disappear. Friends questioned my commitment with well-meaning concern. They asked if I understood what I was signing up for, as if love were a contract filled with fine print. Maribel struggled with letting herself be seen fully, worried that one day I would wake up and decide it was all too much. There were afternoons when her past rose up without warning, triggered by a smell of disinfectant or the sight of a hospital van passing by. On those days, the sun still shone, indifferent, and all I could do was stay present, to remind her through actions that leaving was not my default response. Slowly, things began to change. Maribel started wearing clothes she loved rather than ones chosen to hide. She returned to painting, setting up her canvas near the window where daylight poured in, colors bold and unapologetic. Her art reflected her journey, not as tragedy but as transformation. She painted scars as golden lines, as proof of life rather than damage. Watching her reclaim pieces of herself felt like witnessing a sunrise that had been delayed but not denied. Our story did not become perfect, but it became real. We learned that love in the daytime looks different from love in the dark. It is tested by routine, by public spaces, by the simple act of choosing each other when no one is watching. Maribel's belief that she was unlovable did not vanish overnight, but it lost its grip. Each shared afternoon, each ordinary errand, each moment of quiet companionship chipped away at the lies she had been told by absence. Years later, I still remember that cafe, the way sunlight fell across the table, the courage it took for her to show me the truth of her body and her heart. I remember realizing that staying is a series of small decisions made again and again, often in plain sight. Maribel taught me that scars do not scare away the right people, they filter out the ones who were never meant to stay. As you reach this moment in the story, if it has stirred something inside you, if it has reminded you of your own scars or someone else's quiet strength, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction tells us that stories of compassion still matter. And just before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and share what kindness or second chances mean to you. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. In the end, this is not just a story about dating or scars or survival. It is a story about choosing to remain in a world that often encourages us to leave. It is about believing that daylight can reveal beauty as powerfully as it reveals flaws. Maribel no longer says that no one wants to date her. She says she is learning to believe she is worth staying for. And every bright morning, as the sun rises without asking permission, we are reminded that love, when it is real, does not run from the truth.